Did that hit? All right, everybody. That's right. That was the Rob Toohey theme, courtesy of Leroon. Welcome to Sunday night's All Things Fantasy Grounds talk show. It is FG Gamer Girls. Today we have several people on the show. Let me start the show by giving our disclaimer, which is that All Things Fantasy Grounds talk show is meant to teach and help, but the opinions stated by the 8 of us on the show tonight are not that of Smiteworks USA LLC or Fantasy Grounds. So just keep that in mind, everybody. It might get a little wild. We don't know what's going to happen. Welcome to my co-host, Leroon. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. Just been teaching, kind of wrapping up a teaching spree as I get ready to start moving, which I have to move in the next couple weeks, and probably going to take me 2 years to move, but you know. Also, trying to recruit new people to help out, and we have a good lineup of ladies tonight that are either part of the college or have done things with the college.
Cheerbits.
We got a really cool
Cheerbits
show
in the
tonight.
stream. Thanks for the cheerbits.
And I just wanted to personally reach out and say hello to Bofrin. So hello,
yes.
Bofrin.
Good. Hello, Bofrin. All right, so let's do introductions. We'll start with Rogue, who's the only person tonight besides myself on camera. So, Rogue, welcome, and would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
Hey guys, thanks for the welcome. Thanks for having me on. I am Rogue. I started gaming in 1986. Or 85, started GMing in 1987, and I've just been gaming ever since. I've currently, my big thing is Pathfinder, but I've done all versions of D&D and Palladium Fantasy, Traveler, and various other gamings. So yeah, since I was like 19, I've been gaming. Just game all the time.
All right, cool. Welcome. We'll go down. So I'm going to go so that the people watching the stream know who people are. I'm going down from Rogue to Furied, and fans of the show might know who Furied is. How are you, Furied?
I'm doing good. I want to say a special shout out to Bofrin and also my personal stalker, McClancy. So it's actually Furied Fate, and I've been hanging out with Rob and also Leroon. I did help Leroon out with a few college things. I've also been gaming with some of these girls with Alex and Susie, and hopefully I'll be gaming with Rob here soon.
Yes, you will. I believe this Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
All right,
I think
cool.
that's on my calendar.
Welcome. Amai.
Hello, I'm Amai. I have been playing, I guess, D&D for a little over a year now. I've been sucked into it ever since, both playing, DMing, and creating. I make maps and do all that fun stuff. I'm also a very active member in the Praetor's Rejects channel. Have a lot of fun over there. Yeah, I've been gaming for basically my whole life. Lots of video games, board games, but I've only just dabbled in D&D recently, and it's like one of the best things I've ever done. So exciting to be here. Yay.
Excellent. Yes, it's always good to have new people coming on board, and with a year under your belt, I would still say that's new, but because I have 30 some years under my belt, so so good. Welcome, Zovia.
Hello, I'm Zovia. I've been playing RPGs, tabletop games, since I was a teenager. There's no telling how long ago that was. Then I did take a little bit of time off, but recently I've been playing with Dave, the digital DM, if you may have heard of him. I play with him a lot.
Yeah, we all know who Dave is.
I also make maps as well.
Yes, you do. As a matter of fact, I am a Patreon of Zovia's maps, and they are excellent. So welcome to you.
Thank you.
Let's talk to Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I don't like introductions. I've been playing for.
Do the best you can. You didn't tell me that before, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I say this every time on Gio's stream when I'm in his campaigns. I don't like introductions. I've been playing for a while, not as long as some, but yeah.
All right,
Okay.
we'll take it. We'll take that. We'll take it. Welcome. And last and certainly never ever least is the Susie Q.
Hi guys, I am the Susie Q. Hi Bofferin. I have over 20 years of gaming under my belt. Not as much GMing, but I do GM. I actually just started GMing on Fantasy Grounds, so woot woot. There isn't a game that I haven't played. Everything from Human Occupied Landfill, which you grognards are going to know as whole, to GURPS, D&D, Palladium, Pathfinder, Vampire the Masquerade, and yeah, just yeah.
So it's actually shorter to ask what you haven't played.
Much shorter to ask what I haven't played.
All right, cool. Well,
there.
yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Anything else?
I'm usually on GeoQuester Gaming. I've played with Rob Toohey. I haven't played with the Digital DM yet, but I have played with Praetor's Rejects and had fun with all of them so far.
Oh well, I don't know how you had fun with me. I must have slipped and fell, but I'm glad you said that.
It was head injury.
It was a head injury. Yeah, mine or yours, we're not sure yet. So welcome to you, and welcome to all of you. And I would like to start the conversation by saying that I find it, well, first of all, it's wonderful to have you all here, but I find it very disturbing in the world that having to even have a show called FG Gamer Girls as like a special thing is, I find that to be very bad. Those that know me know that I'm very much into equal rights and equal pay and equal representation, and I get upset when I watch the suffrage movement videos from 1920, and I get all mad because I think that women should be equally represented in everything, just as men are, and that is not what we have in today's gaming society that I see. I see a lot of hate out there. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming today, everybody, and giving you guys a chance to talk about that if you wish to talk about it. This is something, by the way, viewers, this is something that I did not tell them I was going to say. I told them I was going to say something, but I didn't tell them what it was. But I'm just so happy that you're here, and if you guys have anything to say about that, feel free to do that, because I wish that we didn't have to have a show like this where we make it special about women, because it should just be a show about gamers, and if it's men and women, it should all just be the same. Anyway, I kind of stumbled through that. I knew what I wanted to get out there, but I didn't have it written down, or I didn't script it. So anybody want to weigh in on that at all?
Sure. For myself, I think I have mommy issues. Actually, I have a soft spot for women, and I actually grew up in a single mother household. So I have a little bit more respect, I would have to say, than your average Joe, and I really appreciate you guys being here. And I think it's great that you guys are able to stand up and do this for yourselves and put up with all of our crap as the men that we have here. And I hope that in the near future, you guys will be either making your own communities or making a bunch of money off role-playing stuff or whatever it is. I want you guys to excel in that. So that's my wish for you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Super sweet.
Thank you.
So
Now we're like stunned in silence, like, oh shit, that's a lot of weight to put on it. I'm just gonna talk about
What do you say to that?
sorry. Whew. Had to get that out there. So we do We do have prizes, and I think we'll go down the list, and I'm just going to ask you some really basic questions. I'm not saying you can't handle advanced ones. I'm just saying that I would like to start off easy and we'll work our way down. So the first thing I want to know is your introduction to Fantasy Grounds. So in order, like we did earlier, how did you figure out about Fantasy Grounds, or what got you into it, or how did you get introduced to it?
So we'll
Okay,
start
you
with
want to
Rogue.
start with?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I started online gaming when a lot of my military friends got split up, and after the internet became a big thing. I started out in a program called KlugeWorks, and KlugeWorks was Java-based, and the guy who started it had a primary job. This was his secondary job, just to keep this KlugeWorks up. And eventually it got to the point where no one was supporting it. Nobody was updating it with the Java updates and doing all the programming to it. So it kind of fell by the wayside. And I was like, I need my gaming. I need my virtual tabletop so we can still stay together. And I tried another that which must not be named game, and it was like I hated it. I'm like, this is not, and then I found Fantasy Grounds. I don't even know how I found it. I can't remember, but it was back in 2014, and I took a look at it. I didn't even purchase the a trial version or whatever. I just jumped right in, bought the ultimate, and ran with it. And I haven't looked back.
Nice.
All right. Amai?
Well, I actually ran into Fantasy Grounds after being invited to play in one of Praetor's games for his ladies' night games, and I had never even knew such a thing existed. It was my first time really playing D&D officially, and that was the only time I ever really ran with it. And the more I played with it, the more I really started to enjoy it, and I learned how it worked, and both the player side, the DM side, and just like the inner workings of it all. And yeah, I've been having a good time experimenting and playing around with it.
Cool. How about you, Alex?
I'm sorry, my parents called, so I missed the question.
The question is, how did you stumble upon Fantasy Grounds? Like, how were you introduced, or how were you abducted, or whatever you want to put it?
Abducted.
I don't remember.
It's okay.
It was only recently, but I honestly do not remember.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else to say about your beginnings in the Fantasy Grounds and the hobby of it?
No.
Okay, that's cool. Fury.
Gosh, I think I downloaded it off of Steam like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, well, first it was mostly because me and my friends playing on in face-to-face, we were always having problems getting together, and I was getting fed up with it. I was like, I want to play these games, and you guys are being little pussies about getting together. So I'm going to buy this 4-pack of licensing. I'm going to give each of y'all a license, and then we're going to play together. So I did that. And lo and behold, they were like, oh, well, blah, 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 BS. They never used the fucking program. I bought them. So I'm like, well, fuck you guys. I'm going to figure this shit out by myself. So a year later, I started getting on the Fantasy Grounds forums. And then I came across something that said Fantasy Grounds Church, learn how to play. I'm like, I need that. So I posted onto the forums, and then I met Leyrune, and I actually learned how to finally use the software. And so now I've been playing for about a year.
That's great. Zovia.
What is Fantasy Grounds?
Yeah, how did you?
She doesn't use Fancy Grounds. It's all that other software we don't talk about.
That's funny.
No, I have not had a opportunity to DM a game yet on Fantasy Grounds, but I've played a lot on it. I was playing with a digital DM when he switched over to Fantasy Ground years ago, and it's pretty great.
All right.
I know he loves it.
What's up,
Loves it-
Susie?
Loves it
Oh.
enough to go work for them.
That's
Right?
awesome. Susie, what's up? What about you?
Okay, so my first, believe it or not, my first introduction to Fantasy Grounds was when it first came out in like, I think it was like 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. And we were just using Fantasy Grounds for like the maps and stuff like that when we would get together.
Mhm.
And then 2005-ish, we really started like playing around with it. And that was all Geo. I didn't really start using Fantasy Grounds until I want to say like 2 years ago when this guy named Melvin was running a game. And yeah, Rob, that was my first actual real introduction to Fantasy Grounds.
Right on. I kind of missed that you ran a game the other night. I'm so upset that I didn't get on that table. But next time you do that, I'd personally want to stalk you and see when you go on your next run.
Right now we're setting it up. I'm starting to run like once a month, so I'll post it when I'm getting ready to run, and I'll save a special spot for you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So the next question I had is, this is more or less about your characters that you like to play normally in a campaign. So think about the characters that you play. It doesn't have to necessarily be Fantasy Grounds, but I would like you guys to think about that and how it kind of trends into your gaming. So Rogue, what's your favorite character?
I'd like one second. Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to add to that. When you give your answer, please tell us if you prefer always to play a female character, or if you do indeed play male characters. Or I've even had requests for people in games to play, transgender, LGBTQ characters, whatever. But yeah, just keep that in mind when you guys answer, please. Sorry, go
Rogue.
ahead, Rogue.
Okay. I think my favorite character I ever played was actually a wizard in AD&D 2nd edition. She was my first character that I ever got up to any height of level. I think I got her up to like a 12th level. And I only play female characters because me being a female, that's how I know how to play best. And I think I might have tried to play a male character once in somebody's game, and I don't know what made me feel uncomfortable about it, but I couldn't get into the right mindset, so I always play female characters. But my favorite was the wizard, Pentagarn. She made it up to I think it was 12th level. And she was this big, bad, invincible wizard, and she got taken down by a spider bite. She failed her save. She rolled a 1, and the save was instant death. And the GM was gracious enough to give me time to teleport back to my home base and say spider bite before I died.
That's crappy.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Wow, I'm
For a character
depressed.
to just die by a spider bite, I mean,
Aw,
that's just
I'm guessing this was like a
That
critical fail where it's like you just rolled that one. It's like, oh yeah, you're just gonna die. The
Yeah.
end.
that's awful.
Yeah. Back in
Aw.
2nd edition, they had this, if you
Save
fail your
versus
save,
death.
it's death thing. Yeah. But I actually prefer nowadays playing rogues or wizards And I think my third favorite class would have to be paladins, but nobody likes paladins anymore because they're too uppity. But I don't play my paladins uppity. I kind of play them well. As long as I'm not looking at you, I'm not seeing what you're doing.
All right, cool.
All right, so who's next? Hello?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I'll go next. Okay. So my favorite character that I've ever played or that I've had the most fun with was actually a Pathfinder character. It was a elven sorceress, and she was very. When I made her, I gave her a profession of courtesan. And of course, the whole table's like, "You're gonna be a whore?" I'm like, "No, a courtesan. You know, like the French courtesan, somebody who's well versed in conversation and small talk and looks pretty on your arm at events and shit." They're like, sure. But but what was funny is that she did have a history of meeting these wealthy older gentlemen. Actually, one time we were in a hospital. She starts walking around the corridor or the different hospital wings, and she did happen to meet a very wealthy ship owner who she made really good friends with, and visited him while he was recovering and while the rest of the members were doing other things. And then when it comes down to, hey, we need a boat to travel on the water, I'm like, oh, I have a friend who can help us with that. So yeah, it's pretty fun to play with characters, especially when you utilize their professions like that.
Cool.
All right.
Who else?
All right, I can go. I don't really have a favorite character class per se. I like to play fighters, but I'm also kind of into the warlocks right now. So it varies. I only play female characters only because I'm not allowed to play male characters anymore. I have been permabanned after the dwarf maggots
wait.
out of
Hold on.
I want to hear full details about what happened that you had to not play males anymore.
Okay, so it was like one of my first 3rd edition characters, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play a male dwarf ranger, and they were like, okay, go ahead. So I got like this. I talked at a deeper voice, so I'm all like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you," and then I'm like picking maggots out of my armpits and eating them, and that's yeah. Geo stopped the game and he goes, "No." He goes, "You're dead. Make a new character. You can't play males anymore." Especially not male dwarves. Go make a new character.
Well,
do you not believe in hygiene or anything like that?
Oh my god.
I was just.
That sounds to me like your husband put you in your place, and that is the male establishment, and that is what we are trying to prevent. You should only play male characters from now on.
I thought you were going to be kicked out for being a pervert.
No,
for that.
Like Rose.
I've heard the story about you peeing on stuff.
I'm waiting for him to angrily type in the chat, "What are you doing? Don't encourage her."
But no, like Rogue, I can't really get into the whole male mindset. I don't think like a guy. So playing a male character for me it's very, very much out of context, and then you end up with stuff like, I think male dwarves pick maggots out of their armpits and eat them.
Oh, it's really easy to play a male character. All you have to do is empty your mind. And there you go.
Yeah, because that happens.
Yeah. Just pretend like you heard everything that was said, but you really didn't.
Just take everything out of your head. Anything that involves intelligence or wisdom, just remove it out of your head. And boom, you're a male. There you go. That's it. That's all you have to do.
And just worry about your next meal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
I'll remember
memorize
that
these
next time.
words.
And play Dead Kennedys. That's it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
All right, what 3 words, Rogue?
You're right, dear.
That's it. Mine's 2. Mine's yes, dear.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's awesome.
Zovia, what's up with you?
Oh, Well, I've not ever played the male character. I've not really thought about doing it. It hasn't come up. However, I have DM'd and roleplayed male characters while being DM.
What's your favorite?
My characters, usually I play rogues or mages, but more recently I've been whatever character, high charisma, fast talking kind of character.
Right on.
Full of sass.
Sass talker. By the way,
I don't even hit things. I just talk my way out of everything.
I was a little disappointed, Rogue, that your favorite class wasn't Rogue. Like, what's up with
Well,
that?
It is now. I mean.
Oh, it is
the
now. Okay.
The
Don't typecast her.
The Pathfinder rogues are to me like the best. I mean, you can get away with just about anything if you've got the right skill set and stats and everything. But no, when I first started playing, it was wizards because I wanted to be this all powerful. And then when I started playing rogues and Pathfinder, that's pretty much where I got my nickname, was because I was always playing the rogue because that was my favorite.
Oh, good. So I was kind of right there. That's why I was wondering about your screen name.
I have
What
an
about-
addendum to that.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I had gotten to the point that I was talking my way out of combat so often my group mates were getting angry. They wanted to shoot things.
How about you?
Do it.
Exactly. How about you, Alex?
I like to play scouts and snipers.
Sweet.
And in 5th edition, that is a rogue archetype. But I do not play rogues. In Pathfinder, it's a little easier because you can build it with a ranger. 3.5 is annoying because they have like no feats for archery, but yeah.
Okay.
And I generally play female characters just because I've never been interested in trying to play a male character.
Me too.
Awesome.
And I have a question for you Pathfinder people. Which rogue do you prefer, the core rulebook or the Unchained?
It depends on the it depends on the party I'm in, really.
If you
Yeah,
didn't know
with
anything
me-
about your party before if you were making a character for a campaign and you didn't know about the party, what would you choose?
Oh, core rulebook. Hands
Yeah,
down.
Core.
Same with
Definitely.
Rogue. Okay.
All right.
I
How
keep
about-
hearing about this Pathfinder. I should check into it.
You might
I've never
want
played
to.
it. I've never played it.
It's a pretty awesome system.
Me neither.
Yes,
I've
it is.
never tried it.
What
So
about
Mai,
you?
what about you?
Yeah.
I've got. I usually find myself in Fantasy Grounds creating character after character after character all the time. I'm that guy. And so like it's so hard for me to pick a favorite, but I think that right now, the character I have for I played her in one of Gwydion's games, and right now I have her in one of Praetor's Rejects, West March's thing going on, is a halfling wizard, and her name is Amalia Altrix, and she is like the embodiment of myself in halfling form, and I love her. She's sweet. She's like an overly motherly type, and she always wants to feed you food. And she also has a magic talking staff that is very like he speaks his mind no matter what the situation. And he's very protective of his wielder. So like I imagine he has kind of like a New York type accent for people. Like when he's talking at people all the time, very snarky, but like really protective over her.
What?
She's really sweet. Yeah, like
What are you looking at?
yeah, like the chatty staffy is
He's got a
It's great.
Brooklyn accent.
yeah, like he's just this like hard dude. But that's my favorite so far. as far as playing different genders, I'm all about it. I like jumping between. I've played male and female, and for me, I don't find it very difficult to get into a different mindset just because I like to give enough of a background, I guess, and flesh it out enough for me to understand how they work and like where their mind is to play them out enough. But I will say I've never played anything like on the evil side. So like, and at least the people who know me would probably find it very hard for me to embody anyone on the evil alignment side, though I do have one that I made for fun that I'm like, well, maybe I'll try it one day. And it happens to be a male too, so we'll see how that goes eventually down the line.
That sounds like that guy needs to come out.
Yeah, but I want to try it so bad, but like for me, like my own personality in the way, because I don't get very angry and I don't regularly curse. Like it's not part of my everyday vocabulary.
What?
Like,
Oh my God! How do I disconnect her right now?
We call
like I
we
don't
call them
care.
sentence enhancers.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't care when other people do it. Obviously, like I'm not opposed to it. It's like, yeah, do what you want, express yourself. But for me, as I grew up, it was just never a part of my like vocabulary.
Well, that's respectful. I don't mind that at all.
It's good to hear that you play male characters too. So out of 6 of you, that's only 1.5. I'm counting Susie as a half because she would do it if she wasn't suppressed.
I love
But,
doing yeah.
But yeah, and then also that brings up an interesting question. How do all of you feel? I mean, in the world of gaming, it tends to be younger people, although not necessarily. Case in point, but I hear a lot of language used, colorful words and so forth and so on. And I don't think anybody ever does it with a mean spirit. But some people take offense to certain words or certain, lines of conversation. But the world of gaming, especially role-playing games, opens itself up to a lot of, back and forth jibber jabber that might involve some profanity. And there is an Ivy League study that says people that use profanity are smarter. But anyway, what do you all think about that? What do you think about language in gaming? Is it something that you're okay with? Is it something that you like, dislike?
Wouldn't
I
that
think
mean
about-
like Susie's the smartest one out of us? Because she's the one that uses the most.
I've actually been called out on YouTube for the amount of profanity that I use because in my everyday life, like my job, stuff like that, I don't curse. So in game is basically the only place that you will hear me basically have a mouth like a sailor. So I gotta get it out somewhere, otherwise it's gonna, I'm gonna be using fuck and everything like that around my clients, and they don't like that.
Don't take it the wrong way, yeah.
Exactly, and then I've got to explain to my boss why my client is stalking me, and we do incident reports, and that's just paperwork, and I ain't got time for that.
Oh man.
Wait,
All
so
right.
if you say fuck to a client, that results in stalking? I need to have this explained to me.
You have to understand, I work with people who have a mental illness.
Oh,
So
you're talking about my game
I
on Friday, or?
well,
I'm just
that
kidding.
too, but
Ooh.
so I have to watch like what phrases I use, how I speak, my tone, my diction, the whole 9 yards, because they can, with a mental illness, they can misconstrue the meaning of my words very, very easily. And then, like I said, that ends up with me, my client stalking me, inappropriate gestures, inappropriate speaking, that kind of stuff, and I can't have that. Then I have to report it to my boss, and then there's a whole incident report that's got to be filled out and filed, and I don't have time for that paperwork.
That sounds pretty
Gotcha.
serious.
Yeah, it's serious.
All right, so we got a prize.
Boffrin says Susie Q ruins the game with her foul mouth.
What?
Well, you know what?
He's just
Fuck
being
you,
Boffin.
Boffrin. I'm gonna fucking curse
Fuck
if
you,
I
Boffin.
feel like it.
Yeah, we are going to give away a prize. And all that talk about favorite characters has inspired me to, you know, I don't want this to be about me, but I'm going to give away a prize based on that because I tend to like the wizard the best, but because I DM in Fantasy Grounds and because I love the program and I want to use it all the time, I decided that what I would do from now on is I would just do whatever randomly came up. I would roll a dice and get a random character, and that's what I would play to challenge myself to whatever I'm given. You know, I don't really like bards, but let me play a bard if I roll it. So I actually made a random PC generator, so I'm going to give that prize away as well. But we're going to do Leyrune's prize first, which is a standard Fantasy Grounds license, y'all. So let's give it away.
Cool.
We're going to go to the raffle thing, and I'm going to choose a keyword raffle. I'm going to set a 5-minute timer for the stream, and this is going to be an FG standard license, courtesy of FGC. So the keyword will in fact be FGC, and let's start her up. And we'll run a 5-minute timer. So, guys, if you have the license already, you know, don't enter the contest. Let somebody who doesn't have one get it. And if you would like to have the Fantasy Grounds standard license so that you can do more than you can do with just the demo, then go ahead and type in the keyword exclamation FGC in the chat, and we'll get you going.
Or if you know somebody who needs a standard license.
Yeah, if you have a friend, then yeah, you can enter it, and we can make that happen. Because all we need to know for the winner is
User ID.
their user ID on the Fantasy Grounds forums. Actually, you know what? Nobody's entered yet. I just want to make sure it's working. Is anybody going to type? Maybe nobody wants it. What? Nobody wants a license?
What?
Come on, that can't be true. Oh, there we go. Okay, someone's in. So it is working. Okay, good.
There it is.
Just a delay.
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, Lucidity says we all have it.
Yeah, everybody's got it. But if you guys have a friend that's been thinking about it, or, you know, don't do what Fury did, which is give it to people who don't appreciate it, and then you just wasted your money. But give it to somebody who's really maybe into it. Maybe they can't afford it, or, you know, it's $39. But yeah, so if you guys want to enter it, go for it. What else was I gonna say? No, I don't think so. Do you guys, do any of the 6 of you ladies have anything that you had predetermined in your head that you thought we might talk about, or had any questions that you wanted to ask, or discussion topic that you wanted to throw out, since we've got, you know, six different FG gamer girls here? Does anybody want to say anything or start a point of conversation? Give you guys a chance to do that.
Well, I was going to
Yeah.
ask Rogue why she picked Pathfinder over, you know, traditional 5e D&D.
Why I picked Pathfinder? I think it wasn't a matter of I didn't like 5th edition. I think what it was is when I tried 5th edition for the first time, it was during a playtest. I was used to Pathfinder, I was used to Pathfinder, and I didn't hate 4th, but I wasn't a big fan of 4th. I did play it, I did run it. When 5th come along, I was doing the playtest, and it was starting to go in a direction that to me seemed like it was taking it backwards, like back to 2nd edition, and I'm like, no, I'll stick with my 3.5, thank you. And from there, it just progressed, you know, into Pathfinder, and I've just kind of been stuck there. It might have actually been the DM that I had for my first 5th edition game. He was
You can say it.
He supposedly had enough, you know, as much experience as I did playing games and everything. But with the way he run it, it was just I couldn't get into it. And my second 5th edition game wasn't any better. So it was like I'm sorry, I can't get into this. Just let me go with my Pathfinder. And I have I'm supposed to be in a game, in a 5th edition game again on Wednesdays, which I think this will be the first Wednesday I've actually been able to show up because of my dad having the injury and me having to take over the farm. It's like, I'll see how this one goes, but I'm slowly coming around to where 5th edition is starting to, I'm reading the rules more and things like that, but I don't know. We'll give it a try.
There's a question in the chat. GeoQuester wanted to know if you guys appreciate or if you like to have the all ladies games or if you've played them.
I have played in several all ladies games. I enjoy them, but they're much slower paced than like a mixed game. And I think as females we tend to have more of the role playing aspect in them than we do the combat aspect, which is nice.
Okay. Anybody else?
I agree with Susie, because we've done that before. Me, you, and a couple of the other girls. We did a whole all-girl group, and it was a little bit slower, but I mean, we had a lot of fun, and there was a lot of giggling and a lot of talking and character play, which I enjoy.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah, I play
I think
that game too with all ladies, and it's the same. Like we have a lot of fun together, and it gets really rowdy. But it's like I feel like it's a whole other experience as opposed to a mixed group because I play in both the mixed and an all female group. But it's so much fun, and I love how different it is.
Do you, along that same thought, do any of you feel that if you're playing in a mixed group, or if perhaps you're the only female in a group, that you're somehow restricted, or do you let it make you feel that, oh well, I can't be, if this was all women, I would act differently, but since it's not, I have to like stuff down some things you might want to do or say. Do any of you ever feel like that?
No.
No.
That's good.
I'm not sure I've ever actually been at a table of all girls.
No?
Yeah. I know
somebody has piano music in the background out there.
That would be me. My mother is practicing.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Can you put yourself on push to talk for so that we don't hear the?
I am on push to talk.
Oh, you are. Oh, so you're talking. I'm terribly sorry. Go right ahead with what you were saying.
When I first started gaming, girls outnumbered the guys on every table, but we always had at least 2 guys. And it was kind of fun. And now I've got my one face-to-face game is for a while there, I was the only girl, and it was, to be perfectly honest, it was a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, because a lot of times I've played in many face-to-face games where it was either all men, or if there was a woman, it was just one, and then maybe on a super rare occasion there might have been 2, and I could kind of tell just by making eye contact with people that they weren't that comfortable, and so I would always try to say, hey, you're welcome. After the game, I'd pull them aside and tell them, you're welcome here, and usually I wasn't, I was just a player. I wasn't the DM. So if I was the DM, if I ever saw anything, I would just tell, anybody that was doing anything inappropriate, I would shut it down right away. But as a player, I would want to try to encourage them after the game and say, if you're ever uncomfortable, you should talk about it and whatever. But, in my experience with people face to face, not on the internet, but just in real life, nobody ever really wanted to get into it. I think that a lot of times if they felt uncomfortable, they would just quit, which I was always disappointed about, and wanted to try to do whatever I could to make that not happen. But I guess it's a little easier on the internet because you're not in the same room with people, and if you're uncomfortable, you can leave, or you can express your discomfort. But I've always found it. What about it made you feel uncomfortable, if you're willing to share that?
I don't know. It was a lot of little things, and I'm just not sure. But then they decided that they wanted to add another player, and I said, that's fine, but it has to be a girl. And you can only add another player if it's another girl. And they actually liked that idea. So now we've got 2 girls at the table, and it's so much better.
Oh, well, good. There you go.
Yeah, Rob, I wish you were around when I first started gaming, because I would have appreciated a guy that had that kind of view on having a woman at the table.
Well, when I was in high school, and when I first started playing, it was all we couldn't get girls to we couldn't get girls to come play, let alone even talk to us in the hall or say hello. Like, oh my God, they would run away. But I've always felt, I'm a big, I'm such a liberal, lefty, equal rights, pro-choice and all this other stuff. I know we're not talking about politics here today, but I've always been a champion of women in that there shouldn't even be, as I said at the beginning of the show, there shouldn't even be a conversation. We're all just humans. Yes, we have differences, of course, but everybody should just be on the same even thing like that. And I mean, I was in the military like you were, and you would see just discrimination. It was rampant, and it was disgusting. And so even though as a young man I didn't really know what I could do or have opportunity to do anything about it, but now as someone who's a gamer, and I do this kind of thing every day, if I ever see people doing anything against women, it just makes me crazy. But I have to be careful. If I lash out and yell at people and do ad hominem attacks on other men for doing that, it's not going to be well received. So I have to try to choose my words. When everybody that's watching that knows me when I game, whatever it is, it just comes out. I have mental diarrhea. I don't edit myself. It just all comes out. But when you're speaking to somebody about a serious subject, you need to center yourself and make sure that what you say is positive and can be used as constructive, rather than just yelling at somebody and saying, hey, you're a bastard for doing that, because that never really gets your message across. And I go on Twitter and Facebook and do shit like that, and people are like, you realize that you're not helping anybody by yelling and using profanity. And anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that, but suffice to say that I really find it disappointing when I do run into people that like she was saying, make you feel uncomfortable in a group, or you feel that you have to bring in another female to better your position, as to not be, with males and females like this. And, gaming groups and role-playing games are all supposed to just be for fun. And there shouldn't be any of that in there. And yet, it still exists. So it's just a little disappointing is all.
Yeah.
Okay, got a couple questions in the chat, you guys. First of all, a lot of people are asking about Zovia's maps. So.
Oh yeah, let's put a link
They
for
are very
Zovia.
lovely.
Link, Zovia, let me permit you in the chat, and then you can put your link in there for your
Okay,
maps
thanks.
if you'd like to do that. And
Yep.
Amaya,
Put 'em
you
all
were
in
the
there.
other. Let's see, permit Zovia.
Yeah.
Are you
What's
in,
yours too?
Are you in the chat?
I am in the chat.
Okay,
I
so let
haven't
me.
looked at it, but I'm in the yes.
I'll permit you as well. So Zovia, you can go ahead and put your link in there, and then let me find.
Put
It's
your
Amaya
Patreon in
_
there.
K.
Yep. And for those of you who have not seen Zovia's maps, you really need to take a look at them.
Oh, you got to check it out,
amazing.
everybody. I mean,
They're so amazing.
I'm
Thank you,
a
guys.
I'm a Patreon of Zovia, and I have, I think, about 25 of her maps
Me too.
ish.
I think Gio's the same. I think he's a Patreon, and he has a bunch of her maps.
Mm-hmm.
It's not letting me do it.
Oh yeah, it's giving her grief there.
Is it? Let me try that
Yep.
again. Permit.
GeoQuester just posted it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's all good.
So we got to get a Mize up there.
Permit my _ K.
So while you're doing that, the next question I had for you guys is, at
Okay,
a
Amaya,
table,
go ahead.
Oh no, still doesn't work.
Okay.
You know what? Post it in Discord, and
chat.
I'll copy it in there.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. They're not as
Oh,
glorious.
here it is. Yeah,
but-
here it is right here. I'll put it in there. So Amaya's link, you guys, I'm putting in the chat right now. Boom, there it is.
Thank you.
All right. So Joe Numbers had a question for you ladies. Have you ever had a player not be open to playing a game with you? Like maybe chauvinistic or, something like that? Or perhaps they've taken jokes, banter, sexual innuendo, all that kind of stuff too far? And if so, how did you handle it, or would you have done anything different at that time?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
My very first game that I got into when I was 19. I fresh off the farm, just got into the military, just got out of basic training, was joining my first game. Of course, I was playing a female character, and the guy that was playing the barbarian, the DM had it set up to where I was being held prisoner somewhere, and the guys come across me, the usual how people get added into games in the middle of a game. But I was being held prisoner, and the barbarian was, I guess, the head spokesman, and this was in AD&D 2nd edition. And he goes, "Okay, we'll release you, but you got to be my concubine." And I was fresh off the farm. I had a very restricted childhood. I had no idea what a concubine was. So I said, okay. And he like, "Okay, guys, that's it. We're setting up camp right now." And that's, when I got the cold hard truth of what a concubine was. But this player took it a little too far after the game.
Oh no.
And I wish that I would have known a lot of things that I know now, because I would have been able to fight him off a little more, or just find ways to avoid him, or basically just tell him to his face, "Screw you, I don't want anything to do with you," But
Maybe
yeah,
different words than that.
Yeah, my introduction to D&D was very chauvinistic, very harsh, but I stuck with it.
What would have been awesome, I think, I mean, I wasn't there, I'm not you, but just listening to you regale that story, it would have been awesome if you had said, "Well, what is a concubine?" And then he would have had to explain it to you in front of everybody. Because if everybody already knows what it is, everybody just puts together in their head, okay, well, I know what's happening here. But if he would have had to have said what a concubine is to you, then,
Right.
you might have been like, "Oh, no, let's not do that."
Right. I was gonna ask what a concubine was, but I didn't want to come off as sounding like I was stupid or dumb.
Yeah, I
or,
get it. Yeah, you were
like
maybe a
that.
little
So
embarrassed.
so I
Yeah.
didn't ask.
But you could have done it as your character didn't know.
Yeah,
Like if
I
there's
could have.
if there's ever something that I don't understand, I pretend it's my character who doesn't understand it, so that way she
Nice.
sounds innocent and stupid, and I'm like, "Oh no, I knew this. I just
That's awesome.
she doesn't know this."
That's awesome.
So, Fury Fate, do you
Yeah.
also do that when you're like with your husband at the movies and that comes up? You go, "Oh, my character doesn't know that."
See, now
Tried,
I went the opposite direction as Rogue. We had this GM, and he would constantly make my characters wear the very skimpy outfits, the whole nine, pay special attention to her. I had expressed that I wasn't interested. He continued, so I went, "All right, fine. I'm gonna game rape this GM and see what I can get out of him." And you know what? That's what I did. I took him for everything he was worth. I was like, I'm 5th level. I want a +5 Holy Avenger. Guess who got a +5 Holy Avenger at 5th level? I was like, all right, I want shiny, shiny plate mail +3. Shiny, shiny plate mail +3. I was like, all right, you want to give me this stuff? You know what? I'm
See
going
through
to
plate
run
mail.
over you. And that's what I did. The other Jeff's looking at me, he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I told him I wasn't interested. He's continuing. I'm like, he wants to be like this. I'm going to see exactly what I can get out of him until he realizes that A, I'm not interested, and B, I'm just using him to see how much crap I can get.
And that is not
That's
what I
funny.
thought you meant by game rape. I thought it was a different thing.
No.
Oh my gosh.
No.
That's why I laughed
That is
so
a
hard, and then I'm like, oh, she just used him. That was awesome. That's
Yeah, I
even
just looked it up. That's not what that means.
better. Yeah. Oh, my character didn't know that, you guys. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I like just treated him like a doormat, walked all over him. He, like I said, he let me have anything and everything I wanted.
Anybody else have an experience that they want to share about being uniquely female in a world where that's not always welcome?
On the opposite end of the spectrum, when I became a DM, and this happened just here, 2015, I was running a game. A guy signed up for it, and I did a voice interview with him to see if he was, gonna work well with the party. And he's like, "Oh, you're a girl," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, "I don't play with girls. I don't like girl GMs. I'm not playing. I'm dropping out." So, and he dropped out, and I'm like, that was the first, last, and only time I have ever had somebody drop because I was a female.
Wow.
His
Yeah,
loss.
I'm glad that only happened once. I mean, 0 would have been better, but I would love to play with a female GMs. It's just, well, first of all, there's not, there's always a shortage of GMs just across the board. And then I don't know what the stats are as far as like the world of gaming and if it's 60-40 or 50-50, or I mean there could actually be more women than men that game. But what would happen is if people fill out surveys, they're not honest with it because there's a stigma about it. But I really wish that it was just all the same and it was just a person and that nobody had to come to you and say, oh, since you're a female, I'm not going to play in your game. That's just fucking ridiculous as far as I'm concerned.
I can actually give you the stats on that.
Yes, please. You
Okay.
are the smartest of all of us because you swear the most, so that's good.
No, so a while back, I did the show with Laren, and it was all about gamer girls as well. And I looked up some stuff like on Google and everything like that, and it turns out that 49% of the gamers are female, and of that 49%, 49% of that are actually RPG players.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's half and then half of half. So, yeah, that's pretty good. So it is,
Awesome.
I mean, 49%, we can call that equal. They do in an election. So I would say that based on that, anywhere you go, you should see, if there's 6 people, it should be 3 men and 3 women. That's what you should see. But you don't. And so, I'm always a little disappointed by that.
That's because, keep in mind, only half of the half are actually RPG players.
No, but what I'm saying is if you go, say you have an Xbox and you go online and do a 4-person game, 2 of those people should be women.
Believe it or not, they probably are, but they're using a male tag.
Yeah.
And I usually play as a boy. It's always easier. I just tell them a boy. It's a lot easier for everything if you're playing online.
So that's probably smart, but it's such a shame that you have to do that, right? Like it's just you say to yourself, oh, you know what? Rather than just explain everything or answer a lot of fucking questions from idiots, let me just go in and I'll put my tag as Brad, and then nobody will ask me.
To be fair,
it's not even having to deal with questions. It's the dipshit that keeps diving in front of the grenades to protect you because you're female when you are more than capable of taking care of yourself.
Oh, there's that too. I forgot about. Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, it's not the grown men. It's usually the younger guys.
Yeah. Well, right.
The early are always off.
Their early teens, they have hormones and they're anonymous on the internet, so
Yeah.
it gets
They have
pretty rough.
hormones.
Sorry, my
I
daughter
have
plays.
hormones. I'm a
COD.
pretty good guy.
My daughter plays COD, which for the uninitiated is Call of Duty. She grabs a sniper rifle. She'll find a place like up on a water tower or something like that, camp there, and she'll just headshot, 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 headshot. No issues.
So I want to tell you guys something I'm not very proud of. And that is, in my early days of DMing, we have a whole table of guys playing, and we invite a girl to play. We're all sitting around the table, and she's going to be picked on the whole damn time, right? And so rather than not going and saying, hey guys, knock it off, I'd sit there and kind of go along with what all the peers are doing, right? And not have the balls to stand up and say, look, you guys don't pull this shit at this table or you're out. Now that I'm older and more mature, I could do that. But as a young adult, I didn't know any better, or I was stupid, and I didn't know to stick up for those gamer girls back then. So I've learned since then.
But that's the thing, though. We don't need or want someone sticking up for us. Not all of us, but for a good portion of us, if they're dishing it out, we can not only take it, but dish it right back to them.
True. But I was younger and I kind of immature. So this time I would probably take them after the fact and say, hey, don't pull that crap anymore or something, I wouldn't have to make a spectacle out of it.
Yeah, I might take a different approach. I might actually call them out right then and there and say it's over. That stops now or you're gone. I mean, I luckily, especially since I've been involved with Fantasy Grounds and been online gaming, doing D&D and stuff, I think only one time in the last 2.5 years has that ever even come close to me having to say something to somebody. But luckily, everybody else that I've gamed with has been quite nice, both men and women, and we haven't had this problem. But I do, one of the reasons I wanted to have the show today is because I have heard so many horror stories, and I'm like, oh my God, I wish I'd have been there for that. But, so that I could say something to people. But I'm not afraid to talk about my opinions. But I've been really lucky, and I think, Susie and Furied, and I think those are the only two that have actually played in games with me. But they know there's no bullshit, and if there is, they know they can, anybody should know that they play with me. They can feel free to say something, or but like Susie said, I don't think any of the gamers that I know would ask me for any help. They would just take care of it themselves, which is good.
Yeah, I have. I've actually had the opposite experience where at the local gaming convention, at the Pathfinder Society area, I went to hang out there the first year I went, and just looking around to see what's going on, and they were actually actively courting me, trying to get me to sit at their tables and play. Like, oh my God, a girl!
Yeah, and part of that, that's the other thing is that like when I explained that when I was in high school, we would beg girls to, and that there might have been ulterior motives as a 15 or 16-year-old to do that, but we just wanted to have a group that included everybody, and they wouldn't do it. But I think especially at conventions, there's a lot of that happening, because then your table becomes a little more popular. If you've got a female player at your table, especially if they're in cosplay or if they're, they stand out, right? They, among a sea of men, the woman stands out. And so you become more popular if you invite them to your table. But I don't like it that it's like that, but it is. I mean, the world is the way it is, and we can all do our best to make it better. But hopefully the show that we've had today, by bringing you all together and discussing it, makes it an iota better for everybody that's able to hear it. But yeah, I really value you guys' stories, and thanks for sharing those with us. And if any of you guys have any other things that have happened to you or that you wish happened differently, please share that with us, because the more people know about the inequality of men and women, not just in gaming but everywhere, the better we'll all be. And hopefully there'll be no need for these shows or this particular topic to ever be discussed in the future sometime. in a perfect world. You know, you can say that about racism and about a lot of other things too, but you know, we have to only just do the best we can.
So do we have another prize, Rob, to give out?
I'm actually going to
Okay.
switch the screen and show this prize.
Okay.
You know what I'll do? I'll share the screen with all of you people here in Discord with me. I'll share my screen, so if you want to see what I'm talking about, you can see it on the stream, but you can also see it on my screen. So I'll share my screen. And I'm going to give away the oh, we never drew the oh my god, we never drew the license.
We're behind here.
Yeah, we're behind. Okay,
Yeah.
so only 4 people put in for the license. So let's find out who it is. Okay, so Glenn Fittich, 42, you win the license. And I apologize for not getting back to that. We got carried away with the conversation. So Glenn Fittich, if you would PM me in Discord, I'm going to go ahead way out on a limb and say that Glenn is a man. So sir, if you would PM me, he's like, OMG, I won. PM me in Discord, and we'll get you your license courtesy of Fantasy Grounds College from Leroon. And what we need is your Fantasy Grounds forum name. So if you don't have a Fantasy Grounds forum name, go ahead and go to the fantasygrounds.com to the forums, make a name, and then give us that, and we'll attach your license to it. And then I'm going to give away the oh, here it is, random PC generator. So what this does, you guys, is it will create for you a full PC just by one click. So you can open up a PC and by clicking this, it's going to give you your stats. Strength 4, that's going to suck. It's going to give you your background. It'll tell you how old you are, what race you are, your height and weight. It'll give you your class, and then if you end up being a human variant, you can come to the feats and roll on the feat table and get bountiful. So you're able to do this with all the 5e material that's available in Fantasy Grounds. So if, for example, you don't have all the 5e material, let's say you don't have the bundle or you don't have all the books, you can also do a step-by-step version of it and go just down the list, and you can do the ability scores first, then you can do the background. And say, for example, you didn't have one of the books like Sword Coast Adventures Guides has backgrounds, and you roll that, you just re-roll on the table. And you go all the way down and make your character, and when you're done, if you need extra languages, say your background gives you extra languages, you can roll on that and get a couple languages. And if you're a spell user, it opens this up, and then you can go to whatever spell user you are. Now, if you go to something that doesn't have spells at first level, like say, for example, Paladins, it'll tell you that starts at second level. But if you go to a wizard, you come over here, you click the button, and it gives you your 3 cantrips, and it gives you your 6 first level spells. And so you're forced to role play this. You don't get to choose your spells. You can if you want, but the whole idea behind this is it just builds your character and you're done. Now you see that it double rolled in the cantrips, so I can just come down here to cantrips and roll another one and take decorate object. There you go. So really fast, really quick, and that's available on the DM's Guild. So I'm going to give away a copy of that. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to give away 2 copies of it. So what? What is he doing?
So a question in the chat, is that included in the everything package? This particular product?
This product is included in the everything package. So if you have the everything package, you already have this, and you need to go to DM's Guild and re-download the newest version. So everybody that already has this, if you have the random PC creator, you have this already. You just need to download it and get the newest version. And it'll have the old version in there as well. So if you want to still just use it for, like, say you're going to use the SRD only, you can use the old version. Let me see. So random PC creator. Let's give away 3 copies of it. Why not?
What the heck?
So I'm going to reset, start new, and I didn't mean to do it, but we'll roll with it anyway. I'm still using the keyword FGC. So if you guys want a copy of the random, and all the people that are on the show with us too, you guys can enter that. Why not? except for Fury. I know she has everything I own because she's awesome. might not be true.
But we'll say it is. for
That's what you do.
posterity.
You put one person on the spot, and then everybody falls in line. I don't know. I don't know how it works. So let me see. Let me go back to what I was saying. So yeah, okay, good. It's working. People are entering, and I'll draw 3 winners off the people that enter for that, and we'll run a 5-minute counter. So cool. And then I'll go back to not sharing my screen and go back to this. So did any of you ladies have anything else you wanted to ask about? Any questions? And by the way, if we have more questions in chat, just get them in there. We'll get them answered. But anybody want to add any thoughts? Ask any more questions? We've gone about an hour and 10 minutes. We don't have a time limit, so it doesn't have to end. It's whatever. Yeah.
I do have something to give away.
Oh,
You have
cool.
something to give away? Oh my God.
I do. It's one of the not really completes.
Oh,
Oh,
all
crap.
right. Well, we'll do that next then. We'll give away. That's GeoQuesters, available on the DM's Guild. It's called the Not Really Complete Tome of Spells. Is it 400? Is that right? Oh, you know what? I have it here. Let me go. I'll go look it up here. I will once again share my screen with you guys, and I will look it up myself.
It's over 450.
Oh, it's over 450,
Wow.
right? Okay, so I'm going to show that on the screen here. Let me open it up.
It's awesome.
A few of my own modules in my library, everybody. Let's see, not
Holy
complete. What's it called?
the not really complete Tome of Spells.
Yeah,
Mhm.
why isn't that showing up in my library? Because I know I own it.
Make
So
sure
while
it's
he's
Maybe I did a
parentheses around
thing.
it.
Sorry?
while Rob's checking that out, I have a question for you guys.
Mhm.
It's coming
Hey,
from the chat.
Yes.
Okay, so someone has asked if things are any better than they were in the past for you guys, for far as gaming goes and treatment and all that stuff we were talking about earlier.
Oh, for me, it's gotten a lot better. Over the years, I mean, I've been gaming straight on, and it's gotten a lot better. Males are treating females with better respect. They're letting them be their own person. I have rarely ever heard of anybody making anybody wear like chainmail bikinis or
What the?
and they don't it's become more welcoming to female. So if you are a female and thinking about getting into gaming, if you're a little bit shy about hanging around all male group, there's plenty of females out there to help you, break into the game. And then once you've got your footing and have a solid stance, then you can jump in with, by yourself with a whole bunch of guys. But it's gotten a lot better for me, a lot better.
That's good
I
to hear.
agree. It's gotten better for me too, because going back on the previous question from before, at least in the video gaming aspect, I used to have a lot of trouble. Even though I used to have a lot of male friends as I was growing up, middle school, high school, and the works, they would still be they didn't really understand what a healthy competition between like a male and a female was as far as gaming would go. And it was really difficult to just play and have fun without it hurting their manhood in some shape or form. It was really like, especially for someone like me who's I'm not a very like out there type of person. Like I'm usually pretty quiet and just super friendly, not like really let in your face. So that type of confrontation or whatever was really awkward for me, and like I didn't know how to approach it or even know that it was some kind of form of sexism, where like not being included because they don't want, to be beaten by a girl or something like that. But it has gotten better for sure. At least in my video gaming experience. So far in my D&D experience, I haven't had any issues with it, which I'm really happy for. Everyone's been really helpful and not helpful in that condescending kind of way. It's like, oh, it's a girl, let me help you, let me hold your hand. But yeah, so far so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the only other time I had problems gaming online was, video games over the internet and stuff. But
Yeah.
D&D and tabletop, I haven't had any problems except for this one time when I was playing with my brothers. But that was because my brothers were jerks, and I was, their sister, and they don't want to hang out with their sister, but she was there anyway, so they needed somebody to fill in for the healer position. But other than that,
Yeah, everyone always wants you to be the healer.
right? That's the thing. It's like, oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna start a campaign. We need a healer. Let's get that girl.
Yeah, it's always the girl that has to be the healer. No, they can't.
Wait a
be
minute,
the
Which
healer.
I don't mind, because when you're the healer, you hold a lot of fucking power. You'd be like,
Yes.
I don't know. You don't look like you're
Oh, yeah.
gangrenous and about to die, so you can go ahead and suffer that malaria.
So am I in the female club? Because I always play healers. That
Yes.
sucks.
You're female by
That's
proximity.
the thing. Yeah.
You're an
That's how it
honorary
goes all the
female now.
time.
Okay, I figured out what's going on with Geo's module. I'll be able to show it now. So we came to the end of the contest for the random PC generator, and I'm going to make an unprecedented move right here. Only 6 people entered it. I'm going to give it to all those people. So
Holy crap.
Red Lucidity, Joe Numbers, Lexfire, Fiona83, Amai, and Neofix. PM me in Discord and let me know that you won the PC generator, and I will get that to you. So those 6 people, do it. And then now we will do. I'll put in the not complete tome of spells, and then I will be able to show people what this is. This is made by GeoQuester from 450 spells from previous editions that are now 5e compatible. And we're going to make the keyword Susie on that one. What's up? Hey.
Yes, Rob is the new Oprah.
I'm the new Oprah. Look under your chair. There's not a fucking goddamn thing under your chair. There's nothing there.
Does that make me Maury Povich or something?
Oh, reset.
No,
No
it makes
winners
you
drawn
Gale.
from the last rifle. You are the one to reset the rifle. Yes.
I'm
You're
Ed
Gale. You're
McMahon.
Gale. You're Gale.
Ed McMahon, you are right, sir.
Oh yeah, you're Ed McMahon. You are correct, sir. Yes. Young America. All right. I'm gonna start this. So I started it. It's keyword Susie if you want to win Geo's module, and then I will now show that module, which should come up this time. If everything isn't jacked like it was before. That file, it was in the wrong folder is what happened to me. So it wasn't coming up in the library. And let me open it now. There it is. Boom. So you will have the reference manual that he's got in here telling you about the making of and the introduction. So you will know what's up. And then the list of spells. And there are, I believe, 450-ish spells. So if we go to the spells list here, we will confine it to this. You can see that there is a lot. Bear hug. That's not a spell. That's just what I do to my dad. Just kidding. My dad's dead.
Oh.
He died in 93. It's fine. It's fine. I was just trying to make a joke, as I always do. Okay, so we've got the contest going on that. So good times. 3 minutes, almost 4 minutes. Oh, everybody's interested in that. Look at that. We got a lot of names. Good. All right, back to all of us. Cool. So thanks to Susie and Geo for donating that prize as well. And also available on the DM's Guild. So for those of you that might be interested in it that don't win it, you can go to the DM's Guild and look for the not complete tome of spells and have it available to your fingertips over there. So what else? What else, ladies? And Gail.
You are right, sir. Okay.
Oh yeah, sorry, Ed. Ed, you're Ed.
Yeah. All right.
Does that
So
make me
my-
Johnny Carson? That is wild, wacky stuff. He's dead. Nobody.
So I
yeah,
wanted to-
half the people watching are like, who?
All right. So where do we go from here? So, ladies, if you had an ideal job outside of the real world and you can do an RPG thing and make money off of it and actually not have to do a 9 to 5, what would that be? So I want to start with Susie.
You already hear me bitch and complain about the fact that I go through role playing withdrawal. So if I could be on the outside and just like be in games every day, make money off of that, I'd sit down and I'd just game every single day, all day long.
Okay. What about you, Alex?
I don't know.
If you
I
were
don't-
offered a job or some kind of profession in the industry, what would you like to do? Writer, an artist, playtester.
Playtester would be.
Okay. And how about you, Zovia?
Well,
She's already in
Uh,
the industry. She makes maps.
Yeah.
the cheap answer is I'm living it.
All right, cool.
But I'm going to, in the spirit of the question, it's outside the purview, but I think I'd want to be a supervillain with my own volcano base and an island full of slaves.
Oh my God. Oh.
I love it. How about you,
All right.
Amai?
Let me know if you're accepting applications.
Yeah.
Well, I am a graphic designer by trade, so I would love to just get into some kind of RPG publisher and help design like new handbooks and things of that nature. I love book setting and or typesetting and like making covers, just getting into like the typography of a lot of things and just like the aesthetics of how the books look. I love to sit through and look through the PDFs and just books of all of these D&D books that I had never really got the chance to get into and just really read through. Like sometimes I just go through it just for fun and I'll just notice all these little details. It's like, I love this. Where can I go to do this? This is great.
So you like the layout and all that.
I do. I love just laying out and just doing that kind of creative work. And if I can find some place somewhere to be able to do that, I feel like I would be set.
How about you, Fury?
I think we've talked about this before, but I would love just to play games all day, every day. So gamer or playtester would be fun.
So you
Some
would
break.
probably play with Susie, and you guys could test games.
Oh
and-
yeah.
And see how much we can make the DMs cry. It's like, no, you're not supposed to do that. It's like,
Oh,
I
that
don't
sounds
care.
like a lot of fun.
So-
Just in our house from like the I've done role testing before. We have like house rules for things like dimension door and planar shift and stuff like that, because one of my favorite things to do is prepare the spell and then just walk up and slap the big bad boss guy across the face and cast plane shift. There you go. Bye bye.
So it's drive-by bitch slap on him, huh?
Pretty much. Geo actually made the rule that now they have an opposed save, so I can't just do that anymore.
Boo, house rules, boo.
So anybody want to promote or pimp or say something in regards to their projects that they may or may not be working on yet? Anybody got something other than the maps? We kind of got that covered, I think.
Did Rogue answer that question about what she would want to do?
Oh
No,
yeah.
she didn't.
Sorry, Rogue.
That's okay. I'm used to being neglected.
There we go.
Aw.
It all comes full
Touche.
circle.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Oh, Miss
No,
Rowe.
I would probably be the one who would be writing the adventures behind the scenes because I have stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of homemade adventures. I love to write. I love to create. My imagination goes wild. So that's what I would do. I would create the adventures.
Have you dabbled in doing that and putting them up for sale on like Drive Through RPG or DM's Guild?
I've thought about it, but I haven't taken any steps towards doing that yet. No.
I encourage it. I sure do.
Me too.
All right.
I would happily run one of your adventures to roll test it in the whole 9 yards.
Oh, that would be cool. That was a question I had for you ladies, you other ladies too. Would you be interested in playing in a all-females game that would be run by me, Pathfinder?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, damn it.
Sure,
Yes,
in a heartbeat, honey.
absolutely.
I've
I
never
love
played
Pathfinder.
Pathfinder,
I'd
but
love
I'd
to play
love
in a
to
Pathfinder.
try.
Well, it
All right,
doesn't
we're
matter
gonna
if you're
give away.
experienced
Oh,
with it
sorry.
or
Go
not.
ahead.
I was just saying it doesn't matter whether you're experienced with it or not. It's not hard to learn. So
Cool.
Cool. And will that be
And if-
streamed? Is it going to be where we can all watch?
if I can get my OBS to cooperate, then yes, it'll be streamed.
All right. Cool.
If you can't, I can.
Cool.
All right, we're gonna
Yeah.
give away the tome of no, it's called oh god, I need to get the name of this right. Let me get it right. Let
The
me get it
not
right.
really complete tome of spells.
Yeah, that is right. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what it's called.
You are right, ma'am.
And we're gonna give that away now. I think we had 17 people enter, so the winner is. Oh, sorry. The tome of spells goes to. Because you can't say the winner is anymore.
Goes to.
No, I almost screwed it up. Here's what I want. Oh well.
Oh, wow.
Glenn
Oh.
Fittich. So here's the thing. We're gonna maybe draw another winner because you shouldn't enter something in the show if you've already won. So we're gonna maybe not have that be the winner. We're gonna draw another winner because that's a dick move right there. Don't do that. McOlog. There we go. McOlog is the winner.
Yay.
So,
Awesome.
McOlog, what you should do is PM me in Discord your DM's Guild email. If you don't have an email or if you don't have an account at DM's Guild, just go make one, and then whatever email you use, PM me that. Please, in your message, remind me that you won Geo's module, and then I will get that to Susie so that they can get that to you. And yes, let me just say, I'm not trying to pick on Glenn or anything, but if you win a prize, don't try to get another prize. I mean, come on, man, and don't do that, people.
Another question.
Spread the love around. Yeah, go for it.
Question from the chat. Fenor asked for you ladies, who are your favorite fantasy heroines? Which heroine inspired you the most for your games, if any?
Can it be from like any genre, like
Yes.
comic book, anime,
Yeah,
manga?
mine kind of comes from comic books. I love Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, and also Catwoman, Selena Kyle. Really cat themed, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I see that.
Michelle
Don't
Pfeiffer
think
or
any
Halle
of
Berry?
them.
Oh fuck, Michelle Pfeiffer. Halle
Pfeiffer.
Berry's ridiculous. Halle Berry doesn't exist to me. She's dead.
Thank you. I love you.
Wait, I missed that. Was that oh
I-
fuck, comma Michelle Pfeiffer or oh fuck Michelle Pfeiffer? I didn't understand what you said
No.
there.
Oh fuck, comma Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, so it is Michelle Pfeiffer. Okay.
No, I
Halle
love
Berry
Michelle
doesn't
Pfeiffer.
exist.
She's like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Exactly. That never happened. It never happened.
maybe not as Catwoman, but I recognize she who is Halle Berry, just generally speaking.
Yes. Yes. Catwoman never existed. It didn't. happen.
Oh, I totally forgot about Eartha Kitt. Yeah.
Eartha Kitt. That's Catwoman to
Eartha
me.
Kitt.
Did Emma
Julie
Peel ever play?
Newmar.
On the old Batman show. where he would
Yeah.
stand like this all the time. Every Batman episode you watch, he does this. He's just Adam West is just doing this all the time.
Oh my god.
It's amazing.
I don't think mine ever came from a comic, or maybe she did. But when I was a kid, I used to love watching Xena. The
Oh,
Warrior
yeah.
Princess.
Oh yeah.
Same here.
That was my favorite, and I remember
too.
always wanting to. I watched Xena and I watched Hercules, and they were my favorite when I was growing up.
Hands up,
It
who's
was-
met Lucy Lawless in person? Hands up. I don't see any
Not
other
me.
hands.
No,
Well, but I can't see you guys.
I have not.
I would
but
have
I did-
loved to when I was younger.
She's a very, very
I did
nice
have.
and very, very, very tall person.
Oh my gosh.
I've not
I've
met
seen her
Lucy
in.
Lawless.
You saw her in what?
I mean, I've been seeing her in Ash versus the Evil Dead. She looks amazing still.
Mhm.
Doesn't she?
Right,
I
she's
haven't-
aged so well.
Yep.
I haven't seen her since the show I used to watch.
I met her in
and
2006, so that was like a while ago. But
That's so cool. I always wanted to dress up as her for Halloween, but like could never really afford to like get that kind of costume.
Y'all
I
gotta
mean-
check out the Spartacus series. Lucy
Mhm.
Lawless is in that, butt naked, and God, she looks good.
Has she done anything? Has she done anything since then?
That I don't know.
Ash versus the Evil Dead. That's just.
Yeah,
I mean, that
Ash
was the most recent stuff I've seen her in.
She was nude in that also.
so
Okay.
I knew who Lucy Lawless was obviously when I met her, but I had never watched even one episode of Xena ever. I knew what it
Shame
was.
on you.
I just didn't. So I talked to her
Yes.
about Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, yeah, cool.
He probably would have been very
Relieved, or
Yeah,
have a
like I
great
feel like
Uh-huh.
that's the
memory.
only thing people know her from.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
I
think she
just-
was. How I met her was I worked at a cell phone store and she bought a phone for me, and
What?
this was in Los Angeles, and
Wait,
Uh,
so you met her without having to pay to meet her?
yeah, and so she and her little assistant, her little what was the character on the show on Xena who was her sidekick?
Gabriella.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Gabriella.
her real life Gabriella was just a raging bitch. She was just this really mean person. And you know,
Aw.
I would be saying things back and forth with her when she was buying her phone, and then I don't remember what her name was. It was like Janice or some name like that.
Renee O'Connor.
And then she would go, "Oh, she doesn't want that. She doesn't like that." And then Lucy would just look at her like, "I think I can talk for myself," you know. And so we went through this whole thing, and it took like about 45 minutes. And then she left, and then I was telling my colleagues, another girl that I worked with and another guy, I was like, "Oh yeah, I would totally marry her." Anyway, and then she came back in the store and was standing behind me. She heard me say that, and she said, "Rob, I wanted to come back in and tell you that I really appreciated our interaction and our transaction, because a lot of people freak out, and my assistant, I don't know what her problem is today, but you were very kind and you were very nice, and thank you so much." And I was just beat red because I didn't know if she heard me say what I said or not. But whether she heard me, she chose to come back in and tell me how much she appreciated it. And I didn't Xena all over her, but that's because I didn't know anything about Xena, so I wouldn't have had anything smart to say. But yeah, she was super nice and like 6'2" or 6 feet tall. I don't know how. I'm a short guy,
That's
so
so
everybody's tall to me.
crazy.
Seth
Oh my
Green is tall to me.
gosh.
But yeah, she was really nice, and I don't usually get starstruck because I was a comedian and I dealt with a lot of celebrities a lot of times, but I was a little overwhelmed after she left. I was able to like pull it together and perform in her presence, but then when she walked out, between the time she walked out and came back like 2 minutes later, my heart was pumping, and I was all excited that I'd met her and
Aw.
everything. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
That's
That's
so
awesome.
cool.
And now
Gee,
she's going to be in my campaign this Friday. No, I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen. She doesn't even remember me. She doesn't know who I am.
See, now I like to base some of my characters off of Aaron Soon from Farscape. She's Claudia Black is the actress. She's amazing. And I've actually met Virginia Hay, who plays Patuzan, and I got a personal phone call from Gigi Edgley, who plays Chiana.
Wow.
Sweet.
Y'all talk about on the phone.
It was over the summer. I was supposed to go down to Atlanta to a convention. I was actually going to be her, like, kind of her tour guide kind of thing. And FSH Schmo, who is my favorite person in the world because of this, I was really bummed that I couldn't make it down there. And he had met Gigi, and he's talking to her, and she goes, "Well, let's give her a call." So he hops
Oh my
on
God, that's awesome.
Discord, and he's like, "Susie, when you get this call, pick up the phone. Just pick up the phone." I'm like, okay. So I get the phone call. I pick up the phone. She's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you stood me up." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't." And I'm just like, the whole, and we just bantered back and forth for about 15 minutes.
Nice.
I
Anybody else got
think-
any famous sightings? Famous celebrity sightings?
My husband got kissed by Jay from Jay and Silent Bob for his birthday. Like
What?
full on mouth to mouth kiss.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Jason Mewes kissed your husband.
Yeah, and I was totally jealous because like I want to make out with Jason Mewes too.
I want to make out with him too, but only in the scene in Clerks 2 where he was doing the the tuck between he was making fun of the guy in
The Buffalo Bill.
Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, Buffalo Bill. Oh, I watched every episode of the series Monk with Tony Shalhoub.
Oh yeah.
And it was so hard
Love
to
that
get
show.
through that because every time the captain spoke, all I could do was hear Buffalo Bill. Because that same actor played Buffalo Bill in the movie.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Gio almost got his testicles parboiled by David Carradine.
What now? What in the hell?
Okay, so we're at Gen Con, and of course, like David Carradine, and because Kill Bill had just come out, so like David Carradine and a couple of the other of the cast are there, and it's the last day of the convention. We finally got a break so we could go and like look at all the booths and stuff like that. So we're at the jewelry booth and we're admiring things, and David Carradine has this hot cup of tea in his hands, and he's holding it like down by his waist, and he and Gio come up to this table, and he leans over to get a closer look at this piece of jewelry, and he puts his arm back a little, like to the side and back a little bit, and Gio's testicles are like right there, and the next thing I know, he got on his face, and I look down, and there's this cup like just a hair's breadth away from just like teabagging him, and it was great.
Some of your children may not have been born.
That's right.
Oh my
This is
God.
very true.
Oh, wow.
That's funny.
All right.
Yep.
I have another question for the girls.
Yes.
Okay.
If you could meet like your favorite superhero or character, it doesn't have to be, anything but from a fantasy or science fiction or wherever. If you got to meet your favorite all-time hero, who would it be?
Lady Sif, hands down.
Okay. Sylvia?
I should probably know who that is.
I think mine's dead.
Well, who's the dead person?
It's a lot
Who's
easier
the
to meet.
Steph?
It's
We'll
a lot
resurrect
easier.
him, no worries.
It's a lot
Okay.
easier to meet a dead person than it is a live person.
You know, a wise man once said, "Never meet your hero." But if I were
Good.
going
I
to
like that.
answer the question, it would be Arthur C. Clarke.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
Ah.
I'm a big sci-fi fan.
How about you, Mai?
That's hard.
We can come back to you.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
How about you, Fury?
I guess because he seems like a really cool, interesting guy. Neil Gaiman.
All right. And Alex, how about you?
Don't ask me to choose.
Pick
What's the
one.
first-
Roll a dice.
First thing that came to your head. You're not saying it. You're not saying it. We know you have an answer.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. And Amai, we're back to you.
Okay. I think that, well, if we're going by like the very first thing that came to my mind, the very first like character that came to my mind is like Mulan.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I love her, and I still remember how much of a big impression like that movie made on me when I was a kid. I remember the trailer. It's like I never forget that like visual of just how strong and just how cool it was for like a lady to just be around a bunch of dudes and just like be treated as an equal and just go through it, and then how much of a drastic change it was when they found out that she wasn't. I loved it. It's so good.
How about you, Rogue? Since you asked.
Yeah, now that I've asked that question, I have to actually think about. I've got just so many like superheroes and things like that I would like to meet, but the one that pops into my mind is, oddly enough, Doctor Strange.
Awesome. That's cool.
What about you, Layroom?
My hero? Well, this is going to sound pretty sappy, but my hero is my mom. Because she
Yeah,
raised
that's
us.
happy.
Yeah, but she raised us through thick and thin, and I really appreciate how much drama and stress that she went through. So definitely my mom.
Cool.
Fury, who'd you say?
Neil Gaiman.
Oh yeah, Neil Diamond, because he seems
Yep.
cool. That's what you said. All right. Well, we have an hour and 40 minutes. That went by pretty fast.
Holy cow.
Did I give out the thing? Did I do it? Are we
Did
all
you give
caught
out
up?
the thing?
I don't even
I
remember.
don't
now. I have no idea what's going on. Let's look. Oh yeah, because remember we yelled at Glenn.
Oh, yeah,
for-
Glenn.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, we
that's
did.
right.
We did. I can't remember past the 3 seconds ago. Well, I think unless anybody has any final thoughts, we're gonna wrap it up.
All right.
Did somebody have an ooh that they wanted to say something?
Yeah. Before we leave, I want to say a big shout out and a goodbye to our buddy Boffrin.
Tonight's sponsor, Boffrin.
Yep.
Oh
Tonight's
yeah,
Boff-
tonight's sponsor is Boffrin, and we
Yep.
played a song for him at the beginning of the show, and
We all said hello to him.
we all said hello
Mhm.
to him, and he's still there. He
Hey,
says, "Is
Boffrin.
it just me, or did the Mulan comment make anyone else feel old?" That's what he said.
I don't know. Am I the baby?
I
here?
never
don't
feel
know.
old. I am old. So I never. I'm a 14-year-old boy trapped in a man's body who's 4 times that.
Yep.
So that's how you do it. You do the math. Anyway, I would like
growing
to.
old, growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional.
That's true. That's
Exactly.
very
There you
true.
go.
I like that. That should be on my tombstone, and it should be on everyone's tombstone, as a matter of fact.
We're gonna stitch it on a pillow for you.
Okay, good. Because chances are I don't have any friends, so when I die, there's going to be no tombstone. The county's going to bury me, and I'm going to suck the bill to them. But
They'll
that's,
put you in a little box. That's it.
Night,
So
Boffrin.
I'm
Night,
gonna.
Boffrin.
Yeah.
Good night,
Good night,
Boffrin.
Boffrin. Good night, John Boy.
Night,
So-
Boffrin.
Thank you to all of you who showed up for our show today. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad you guys were here. And anytime you guys want to come back, I know Fury's on the show all the time, but anytime any of you guys want to come on the show, if you want to come on individually, just let me know if you have something that you'd like to talk about. We do try to keep the show Fantasy Grounds themed, but that is a loose theme. You know, as long as we can tie it into that, and all of you guys play on Fantasy Grounds, so that's why we had you in particular. But I would like to thank everybody for coming by. Leyroon, any last words from you, sir, before we go?
Yes, actually, I'm going to be on hiatus for a few weeks, maybe a month. So I have Furied Fate filling in for me. And also in the college, I'm lining up more people to teach while I'm out. So that's
Very
what I have
good.
to say.
Well, I'll go ahead and end the stream, ladies, if you would stick around for just a second. I'm going to say goodbye to the stream. So on behalf of all of the ladies that we had here with us today, and my co-host Leyroon, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Prize winners, please get a hold of me in Discord. And until we see you guys next time, good gaming, everyone.